We have like 1,50,000 parents using this particular application across 990 cities and 110 countries in the world. Writing a 50 lakh rupees check to 50 startups. So, assuming that there are 50 people, and even if they do kind of the investment, which is the minimum ticket size of 5 lakhs, and 5 lakhs for a family office is nothing. I mean, for Haldirams of the world, it would be even the pocket change, less than the pocket change. So what we have said to the people is that please treat this as a social capital, not a charity. What people love is called as I would say ICC, which is the integrity, commitment, and consistency. If you are into B2C, I'm just giving an example. So they would ask, what is your net retention rate? What is your like a D1 retention, D3 retention, D7 retention, D30 retention? What's your, your unit economics? What's your LTV? What's your cost of acquisition? How this is going to be played out? What's your conversion ratios from, if you are a freemium product, from free to paid? What's your conversion number? And you have to know those benchmarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, some people build careers, some build companies, but very few build ecosystem. Today, our guest does all the three. He is an investor, he is an entrepreneur, he is an ecosystem builder, he is an educator. So, I welcome Mr. Shashikant Chaudhary ji. Sir, namaskar.
Namaskar.
Mr. Shashikant Chaudhary is a serial entrepreneur and he has invested in more than 32 startups, and he's also working as he's an LP with almost 6 leading venture funds, and he's currently building his 10th venture, happyeaters.ai. So I just wanted to know more about your company happyeaters.ai.
Yeah, thank you Nitin for having me, and thank you IMA for giving me this opportunity. Happy Eaters happens to be my 10th venture, as you mentioned about it. This is all about solving the problem of meal planning for the infant and toddlers, specifically with the Indian ingredients. So there are application platforms which does this kind of a meal planning and the nutrition for the babies, but they with the US ingredients. But being in India where everything changes 100 miles, culture, region. So what this Happy Eaters is all about, it adopts and learns the baby's journey and creates a personalized meal plan. So we have like 1,50,000 parents using this particular application across 990 cities and 110 countries in the world.
Oh, great. So when exactly you started this company?
This company though started 2 years back, but it was a soft pivot. Earlier it was more into the developmental delays and the growth. The target segment was the same, but the more pressing problem was, what to eat, how to eat. That was a kind of a daily problem of the mothers, and that's where we said, okay, why not we integrate our previous version, which was the baby version, into the Happy Eaters, and that's where now. But the Happy Eaters is like a story of like close to 1 year now.
Okay. And as you have invested in more than 32 startups, so what do you exactly see in those startups? You look at the founder's profile, or you look at the product, or you look at the team out there? What exactly,
Yeah, so most of the kind of the investments which we do, or rather I do, is in the very early stage. So at the end of the day, products will change, the markets would change, competition would change, but what matters is the founder and founding team. So the first thing is the founder ambition fit. So we talk about a lot of product market fit and all other things, but whether this particular founder really wants to build something very, very interesting and impressive at a scale, that's number one. Number two, very, very important for us at that stage is that whether the startup founder may understands the big canvas in terms of where this game is going to be played, who are the competing forces, where is how the landscape is kind of playing out, where are these gaps and how this landscape is shaping. And in that particular landscape, which we call that as a big story, what is his unique story. That means a big story and short story. So short story, when I say what is his unique story in terms of, you know, uh, sort of like creating his own space and having an unfair advantage in that marketplace. So that is more important, because many times people talk about the products, but products is only a means to do a business. If he cannot uh, is not able to express what he's going to achieve in terms of making sure that doing a business with the product, which means really understanding the whole landscape and then having his unique play. If he can articulate that, that's what we look.
Okay. And as we all know that the startup ecosystem is now moving towards tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And especially when you talk about tier 2 cities, a lot needs to be done in terms of investment, in terms of mentoring and other things out there. And I have heard from somebody that you people are really active in Vidarbha. And I just wanted to know a 50-50-50 formula of yours.
Yeah. So the Nitin, this all came out with a very classical problem of any tier 2 or any tier 3 cities. Especially when you leave out the metros, getting the first check is a very, very difficult proposition for the startup. So what we said, when I'm saying we said, it's about Nagpur and Vidarbha region. We said, okay, we'll reach out to almost like 50 family offices. So 50 family offices coming together, writing a 50 lakh rupees check to 50 startups. So assuming that there are 50 people, and even if they do kind of the investment, which is the minimum ticket size of 5 lakhs, and 5 lakhs for a family office is nothing. I mean, for Haldirams of the world, it would be even the pocket change, more, less than the pocket change. So what we have said to the people is that please treat this as a social capital, not a charity. But we should come forward and write that first check to the startup founder. But we should not only limit to that. We should also make sure that we give the pilots and the business to the startup, because these two are very important. Getting the first check and getting the first customer.
Yeah.
Can we really solve that first check and first customer at local level? So for just example, a startup just getting a brand name of Haldiram, if he says that I have implemented my solution in Haldirams, is a big statement to be made, and that gives a lot of credibility.
Yeah.
So that's the initiative. So the idea is in the next 5 years, or if possible in the 3 years, fund 50 startups with the 50 lakhs.
Okay. And till date, how many of them?
We just started there, and we funded the first one. Second one, we should be releasing the check in the next probably a week's time.
Okay.
So objective is initially it will be a little bit slow in terms of like giving out a check, because the message has to reach to a society also. And after that, our momentum would be like one startup every 2 months. But I think in the next year, beyond that, we should be doing one startup a month. That's the capacity which we have built. And when you talked about tier 2, tier 3 cities, it should not be left to sort of like other people whims. Just cities by ourselves, we need to help and build our own systems. And there has to be a structure to it. It should not be on the whims, and sometimes a particular angel investor would invest and the startup doesn't know whether he is really investing or not, and who is investing, what's the kind of frequency. So that's a platform approach, where we believe that if we get into this platform approach, we will have a lot of compounding and we'll be able to build on the top of that.
Okay. And there are a few more questions.
Yeah.
What is the biggest mistake young founders and even business leaders make today?
So young startups, the biggest mistake, I would say, because there are many, but I would say creating sort of like not validating the problem statement. Because, when anybody starts, irrespective of how smart that person is, 65% of their assumptions prove to be wrong when the rubber hits the ground. And if you are not really validating the problem and then trying to create a solution, then it creates a big problem, because the demand is somewhere here and your product is somewhere here. sometimes jokingly, or we call that you create a solution waiting for a problem, and you should not be doing that in terms of the the validation part. Uh, Knowing what customer actually wants, what are his needs, understanding the problems of the customer in his own
So
environment.
the focus should be more on the product market fit.
More on the customers, I would say, because you have to watch your customers in their own environment, not in your office, and assume that this is the kind of a journey that particular your customer would have. So I think this becomes a very, very important statement: validation before building, because that saves you a lot of cost, that saves you a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I think that's very, very important in terms of people trying to create the product in isolation. Best thing to do is which is called as a co-creation, which is called as a customer development. So we all know about the product development, but the product development and the second phase is the customer development, which means your product development and the customer development should go in hand, which in short means you should build the product in consultation with the customers.
Yeah.
That's very, very important. Otherwise, sometimes you land up somewhere where the demand is at one place and the product is
And
not really
I
serving.
know. I think the last year the figures are there. Almost 11,000 startups closed down in the country.
Yeah.
So I think you're saying very true, sir.
Yeah.
And I think the next is, if you had to give just one management lesson to the founders and business leaders, what would it be?
One is difficult to say.
I know you being a professor also in your life, so one is going to be difficult. I understand that.
So I think I would say live beyond the hype. In terms of like what people love is called as I would say ICC, which is the integrity, commitment, and consistency.
Okay.
These are the three things people love.
Great.
You have to go beyond your pitch decks. So I would say, creating your credibility matters most, and the people love that credibility. So please concentrate on the credibility, which means at the end of the day, your numbers has to speak out. Because they are more credible than what your pitch would be.
100%.
So build that where the people would start believing in your story on actual numbers rather than the pitch decks.
So numbers in terms of the revenue only?
No, everything, every matrix, so it is just like at an every stage there is a different question paper. If you are a pre-seed level, if you are a seed level, if you are a series A, if you are a series B, then the question papers would be different. So for example, if you are at a pre-seed level and you are trying to raise a seed capital, then you have to know which are the matrices, which are the numbers these people are going to be very, very, very strong about, and they want you to know those numbers very hard. So for example, if you are in the B2C, I'm just giving an example. So they would ask, what is your net retention rate? What is your like a D1 retention, D3 retention, D7 retention, D30 retention? What's your, your unit economics? What's your LTV? What's your cost of acquisition? How this is going to be played out? What's your conversion ratios from, if you are a freemium product, from free to paid, what's your conversion number? And you have to know those benchmarks. And at the end of the day, we talk about sanity, vanity, which is like the revenue and the profitability, which is the sanity and vanity. But the reality is the cash flow. If as a startup founder, you have to know your cash flow at the back of your hands.
So out of my own curiosity, just one question. No, apart from that, there are a few more questions, but this one question is the thing that you said about the freemium model. So what exactly you see the ideal conversion ratio when you talk about the freemium model, according to you?
So the freemium model, if I would say, if you are in a range of between 5 to 7% from free to paid customers, I think you are doing good. Less than 2% is not so good. If you are doing more than 10, I think fantastic.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Yeah.
So, one last question. After building multiple ventures and investment in startups, what are the biggest lessons life has taught you? I think this question is a little bit more philosophical.
More philosophical in a sense, yeah. So in a way, Most important, irrespective of how smart people are, how smart founders are, whether the idea is brilliant, whether the execution is brilliant, very, very important is the timing. Uh, how you really, time the market. I would say very, very important lesson. Many times I have also articulated in some of my posts is, from my perspective, is uh, irrespective of all this combination, one of the most important factor is the timing. If you are early, you are starving. If you are late, it's like a me too. And if you look at the market cycles, every domain, every kind of sector per se will go through a cycle. Never is like a linear scale.
Yeah.
It will go into the kind of up and down. It's like a sinusoidal curve. It happens like that. So I would say that your startup or your venture needs to peak when the market is peaking, which means when, especially that's a lesson, and I also saw it playing out. When you start, when the market cycles are down for that particular domain, and if you see that market is growing, it has got a momentum, it has not peaked as yet. It will still take 4 to 5 years to peak.
Yeah.
That's the point to start.
Okay.
So you need to time the market. That's number one. Number two lesson is, don't love your product. Love problems. We love too much about our own products, and then you lose that objectivity. You should get obsessed with the problems. That's number two. Number three, in terms of like the lessons per se, is in terms of the kind of the people you hire, and the kind of the processes you build. Never compromise on that. Never compromise, because this process debt, people debt, which means mistakes or tech debt, they will catch you at, and when they catch you, you will have to pay dearly through your nose. So you don't, please hire more talented people than you. Invest in the processes, because they outlive this, yours. Individual, I would say, the contribution. So more you hire the right people, if you're lucky, and if you really plan, if your timing is right, and if you really set up the right kind of processes, which are going to outlive even the company per se. I think that those are the kind of three things, the lessons which I have seen multiple times in my ventures. When I came across, this helped.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for that thing, especially. I think that is a very good message for the founders, that your junior should be more talented than you.
I think that's very important. I think in one of the factors, when you asked the first question in terms of what you look at the founders, I can again circle back to that particular question. And one of the indicators is, if this particular founder is able to attract more talented people to join his team.
Yeah.
That means, is he articulate? Can he sell his vision? Is he thinking big? And if he is able to attract very talented people from the market, that's a very good indicator that the founder has it.
So I think one more question. I'm so sorry. I think the way you are answering the questions, more questions are coming. So I think, good sign when a professor is there in front of me, the ex-professor is there in front of me, it's a good sign. So one more question. A lot of times, like I've seen, there are founders, those who start and then later on look for a co-founder because they don't have a co-founder. So any suggestion from your side for those founders, those who are looking for the co-founders?
No, I think it's very, very important to have the co-founders. 3 is a good number, more than 5 is a crowd. And why, you should have these, at least the co-founders 2 or 3 numbers, because basic 3 roles have to be covered. One is the product management, one the technology, and one the person who sells. This trio has to exist at a minimum level, and they have to be complementary to each other. You cannot have a Xerox copy of yourself, otherwise you will get limited. So if you find those complementary partners who share your vision, also is very important, and share your own values, that's also very important. So values have to be shared, your vision has to be shared, goals have to be shared. If you are able to create, because what happens is, startup is by nature itself is a very fast journey. It is as if you are running 400 meters kind of a track event, and there are 8 lanes. And if there is a single founder, the startup demands that a single founder runs on those 8 tracks simultaneously. It's very, very difficult, very difficult. If it would have been a little slow, it's still manageable. But when the demands are that their agility is required, you have to move at a light of speed, then you have to share the load. And you have to have those kind of partners who can complement and trust each other, so that, as a team, you can move fast and make those course corrections and reach to your goal.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for your time. And it's
Real
lovely
pleasure.
talking to you. Yeah.
Real pleasure to have you, Nitin, and thanks for having me over here again. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.